Hey everyone, it's Alex in Automotive and More. Today we're going to talk about the whole Cummins scandal that happened with the EPA finding them $1.67 billion. Yep, it's a big deal. The EPA is still coming hard against those manufacturers, and there's still probably going to be more looming infractions, not only for Cummins, but I predict for other manufacturers. As you guys know, Ram got caught with the eco diesel. Ford stopped all of a sudden with their 3-liter Power Stroke. I think they knew that it wasn't going to be an emissions compliant vehicle on the long run. It's happened to most manufacturers. So Cummins, $1.6 billion. That is the settlement. I believe the complete lawsuit was $2.4 billion, but they settled for that amount. I've heard some conflicting information on exactly what the situation was. First, I thought it was a COVID issue with one of their sensors that they changed the programming on to infer what that sensor was doing, which wouldn't technically be a defeat device. But then later I found out that there was actually programming from way before there that was actually made to defeat the emissions test. So that's interesting. That definitely puts Ram 100% at fault with those situations. I think Ram was just trying to get a good performing engine to compete with the other of the big three, and they were just looking for best performance, and they knew what they were doing. Of course, once you start having a fully compliant vehicle, the sacrifice is emissions, is having all that emissions equipment, slowing down your vehicle, taking response away, also taking efficiency away from exactly what you want, that nice fuel efficient loads of torque at the low end. So these vehicles are probably going to get recalled, and there's probably going to be some change to the performance. Biggest example of that is what happened to the Ram Eco Diesels with the 3-liter. Customers who had those vehicles loved them. Then they got recalled. The ECM got retuned, and it was absolute garbage. It had a lot of turbo lag. It had a lot of drawbacks, and the customers hated it. The bad thing about it is, listen, the EPA is getting all that money, and who's making it right for the customers? It's $1.6 billion that's going to fund the EPA for at least the next decade to keep headhunting manufacturers and people who are tuners and all that stuff. What's the end consumer getting? The person who bought that truck now is going to get recalibrated. Now it's going to perform a little bit differently. They may not be happy with how that truck is currently. They may not be the truck they would have bought if it would have performed like that in the first place. So that is a shitty situation. I believe, the EPA should make that right and give, or Cummins or Ram should give some of that money back to the customers. I doubt it's going to work that way. Everybody's trying to keep the money. I believe the fine is, when it's a manufacturer fine, it's like $37,000 per vehicle. And that's how you get to a number like $2.4 billion. And then they settled for $1.6 billion. They're expected to fix the issue within the next 3 years, at least 85% of the trucks. That is a huge undertaking. I used to work as a contractor for multiple manufacturers trying to fix the Takata airbag issue, and they had some type of deal like that. They had to get a large percentage of those airbags out of circulation in vehicles by a certain amount of time, and I used to be the operations manager in Florida to get that done. So I know what a huge undertaking that is. You have to go to a lot of dealers and try to get them to agree to replace those parts as a recall. And believe it or not, a lot of people don't want to do it. Even, especially this as an end consumer, you probably want to avoid it as much as possible because the performance of the vehicle may reduce. Uh, do I think this is going to happen to more manufacturers with other engines? Absolutely. Uh, you have these manufacturers like Ford with that 500 horsepower HO power stroke. It's I doubt that's like a fully emissions compliant vehicle. I think it's going to happen to them. Same thing with GM and the Duramax. You know, the same with the 3 liter and the L5P. Um, you know, these engines are made to run those emissions tests in very specific environments. Those engines are already very hot. Oil's hot. Engine coolant temperature is hot under very specific circumstances right after a regen, maybe. But if the EPA starts doing tests under various conditions, they're going to find that these vehicles are not fully as compliant as they are sold. So there's more stuff that's going to be looming in the horizon for that. So just be aware. This would be a good example to see, you know, those vehicles. I'm sure a lot of people are going to bring up, you know, how the vehicle is before and after the recall. So it gives us a lot of experience for whenever it expands other ways. Of course, with all that said, there's a lot of politics that happens with the manufacturers and EPA. I think Dodge and Cummins are probably more on their peripherals, or more on their they're more of a target, I would say, because Ford supplies the U.S. government with a lot of engines for the Army, and so does GM. So I think Cummins not being one of those suppliers opens it up to being the main target for the EPA a lot more than Ford or GM. So that's also, you know, could be open to interpretation to some type of level of corruption. But I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on it. Do you guys think there's going to be more manufacturers? It seems like it's been a constant flow from the EPA. I don't think the EPA is going to stop until diesels are eliminated. I really think this country has a really bad aspect on what diesels are. I think the solutions that they've brought up are not good solutions. I don't think I agree that NOx needs to get removed, but I don't think, you know, pumping gallons of DEF that come on plastic bottles and cardboard boxes are definitely a solution to that. Same as like pre-def trucks, you know, they kept NOx values down by keeping cylinder temperatures down, and what happened? Fuel economy went down to shit. The performance of the trucks were shittier in those years, that era of post DPF trucks, should I say? And post DPF trucks, pre DEF trucks were absolutely terrible. And fuel consumption, so you're offsetting, you know, you're definitely, you know, saving the environment by having less NOx, but then you're also fucking it by making that vehicle use more fuel. So are you really changing anything? I think there's a lot of cool technology that could come out. I mean, especially for diesels, there's a lot of technology, specifically with injector design, that makes a big difference on how efficient and how clean engines run. But like I said, just getting your thoughts on it. If you guys have any comments, suggestions, or anything like that, let me know. I think it's an interesting discussion, what's going on with the diesel world these days. Bye, everyone.